Well, hello, everyone. I'm Tyler Chrestman, and welcome to the Chrestman Conversation. Today on the podcast, I am going to be talking about something that some of my more conservative listeners might not enjoy. But it's the truth, so we need to say it, because that's what we do here. We just say what is true, regardless of how people feel about it. And we're going to talk about why the GOP, the grand old party, why they just can't seem to stop losing. It is unbelievable to me that in this year we're looking at poll numbers that show the GOP is going to be in a neck-and-neck race in this next presidential election cycle. It makes no sense to me. We're going to go over that a little bit later. But first, I want to start by showing something. You know, here on the podcast, we love our data. So let's talk about something just real quick here. Let's talk about this. For those who are just listening, I want to go over the election results from past presidential elections here. 2020, Joe Biden, 81 million votes. Donald Trump, 74 million votes. Okay, we can say whatever we want about that election. That's the numbers that we have to work with. How about 2016? Donald Trump, 62 million votes. Hillary Clinton, 65 million votes. Donald Trump won the presidency, but lost the popular vote. 2012, Barack Obama, 65 million votes. Mitt Romney, 60 million votes. Republicans again lose. 2008, Barack Obama, 69 million votes. John McCain, 59 million votes. That was a butt kicking by Barack Obama. I don't think anyone was beating him in 2008. There is nothing anyone was going to do about that. But still, Republicans lose. 2004. Okay, 2004. George Bush, 62 million votes. John Kerry, 59 million votes. Republicans won the popular vote 20 years ago. How about before that, though? 2000, George Bush, 50 million. Al Gore, 50 million, but a little bit more in the popular vote. Very close. 1996, Bill Clinton, 47 million. Robert Dole, 39 million. 1992, Bill Clinton, 44 million. George Bush, 39 million. And we have to go all the way back to before I was born in 1988. George Bush, 48 million. Michael Dukakis, 41 million. So the Republican Party has not won a presidential election by popular vote. Oh my gosh, I was so loud. Forgot to silence my phone. The Republican Party has not won a popular vote since 2004. And before that, it was 1988. So it's been 20 years since the Republicans won a popular vote. And before that, it was before I was born in 1988. Now, again, we don't play by popular vote. So Republicans have won presidential elections in there, but they have lost the popular vote. They are not popular with the American people. Why is that? We're going to discuss why this is a little bit in just a moment, but I want to go back and just think about those numbers for a second. Think about those results. Republican politics are not working. And there was a miracle that happened in 2016. And I think Republicans, because of this miracle that happened, they kind of forgot that they haven't been popular with the American people. Donald Trump won the presidency. It was a long shot miracle play that all the things that could possibly go right aligned, and Donald Trump happened to win. There was, I think it was it 30,000 or 50,000? I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was 50,000 votes that ultimately decided that election. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by 3 million, but because we don't live in a democracy, we live in a democratic republic, and because of the greatness of the Electoral College, Donald Trump won. But it was 50,000 votes that swung that election because he won in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. And again, those states were decided by very few votes, and those were the states that really swung the election for Donald Trump. Now, 2016, the Republicans thought, well, we won. We beat Hillary Clinton. That's what matters. Donald Trump is the man. He's a populist, right? He's a populist. And that word obviously comes from popular. So therefore, the GOP is popular, but it's not. And Donald Trump was a great president for 3 years. I will say that. Donald Trump, I wrote a lot about why I wasn't voting for him in 2016. I made fun of people who voted for him in 2016. I thought people had to be dumb. It made no sense to me. If you go back to that election, I think some of my analysis, some of my worry was justified. I said Donald Trump, we don't know how he's going to govern. I don't think he's the smartest person of all time. I don't think he's a very bright individual. I don't know if he has a great grasp on a lot of the issues. None of that turned out to matter at all, because whether or not Donald Trump can find Iran and Israel on a map, whether he could tell you the difference between Sunni and Shia sects of Islam, he put people in charge who knew what they were doing. The economy was good. His foreign policy was excellent. And a lot of the people in his administration were pretty good. So my worries turned out not to be justified. I think they were. It's easy to make a case in 2016 that they were, but they turned out to be wrong. So I was wrong. And Donald Trump was a great president. However, Donald Trump is the most vilified person to ever exist in politics ever. And people hate Donald Trump. The people who don't like Donald Trump, they don't not like Donald Trump. Like, I don't like Joe Biden. I don't hate Joe Biden. I don't like him. I think he's a bad president. I think he's a bad politician. I think he's probably pretty corrupt. I think that his family's shady business dealings are way worse than Donald Trump, but he'll never face any jail time for it. I think he's bad, but I don't hate him. I don't despise him. I don't think that he fundamentally hates America. The people who dislike Donald Trump, they don't dislike him. They hate him. They hate him, hate him, hate him. And because of that, Donald Trump has been a weight around the neck of the Republican Party since 2016. He won, hooray. But what about 2018, the midterms? Well, you say presidents, historically, they don't do well in midterms. If their party's not in power when they get in office, they tend to lose it by the midterms. So 2018, the GOP lost. They lost the elections in 2018. How about 2020? Okay, say what you want. I think that there was some nonsense in the election in terms of, I think universal mail-in balloting is the worst thing. If you don't show up to vote with a government ID, I don't think you should be allowed to vote. That's just my opinion. But whatever took place, Donald Trump lost. He's not the president. Joe Biden's the president. So 2020, they lost. Then, after that, there were runoff elections, special elections that happened. What happened there? The Republicans lost all of them, gave the Senate to Joe Biden, who then used it to cram through a lot of terrible policies that led to our inflationary crisis. What about the midterms? What about the midterms? 2022. Do we all remember Joe Biden is so unpopular that there was going to be a red wave? It was going to be a tsunami of red that just took over everything in the government because Joe Biden's so unpopular that the GOP is just going to march in there. What happened? Not even a red trickle. It was embarrassingly bad for the Republican Party. It was not good. And yet people are still talking about Donald Trump being the nominee. This is outrageous. This is nonsense. Joe Biden is historically unpopular, but the only president as unpopular as Joe Biden in the history of polling is Donald Trump. He's the only one. You can love Trump all you want. Again, I will say Donald Trump was a great president for 3 of the 4 years he's in office. He really was. I don't care if you don't like him. Show me the things that he did that made the American economy worse, that made jobs worse, that made healthcare worse, that made the Middle East worse. Show me the things that he did. He was so much better than Joe Biden. It's outrageous. But people don't like him. Okay, so whatever. People don't always think rationally. They think emotionally. People don't like him on an emotional level. You're not going to reach those people by showing them jobs numbers. So Joe Biden's historically unpopular, and he should be. He's a terrible president. He has led to the worst inflation since before I was born. He has led to the worst foreign policy I don't know, since Jimmy Carter, terrible. The Middle East crisis that we're all dealing with, the war in Ukraine, I can draw you a line that shows you how Joe Biden's policies paved the way for all this, because he reversed everything Trump did, because people didn't like Trump. They said everything Donald Trump does is bad. Therefore, we got to do the opposite. And you know what the opposite did? The opposite led to the Afghanistan debacle. The opposite led to war in Ukraine, and the opposite is leading to war in the Middle East between Israel and everyone else. That's what's happening with Joe Biden's policy. Again, I could draw you a map, but we're not going to do it right now. Joe Biden's historically unpopular. He should be. Donald Trump has so much baggage that the only person who can lose to Joe Biden is Donald Trump. We're having a neck and neck race. People are showing polls right now that say, oh, look, Donald Trump's up 4 points in a head-to-head poll with Joe Biden. Who cares? Who cares at all? Show me any other person. Put Nikki Haley in there. Nikki Haley's great. I like Nikki Haley. I have problems with some of the things that she says. What's wrong with Nikki Haley? What's wrong with Ron DeSantis? Why? Why do we need Donald Trump in there? Donald Trump's baggage is going to lose another election. That's all it's going to do. You can say he won 2020. Great. Who sits in the White House? Oh, they cheated. I don't care. You could say that all you want. It's not winning. Winning is winning. You know who can win? Anyone else. Anyone else in the GOP field can win this election. But Donald Trump can lose. He's the only one who will. And when it happens, and if there's shenanigans, people will say, shenanigans, we're mad. Boo-hoo. I get it. I don't like shenanigans. I think everyone who votes should have to show up on the day of the election with an ID and vote. That's the law I would make. If I was in charge, that is what would happen. You don't get to, unless you are in the military or you are infirmed. You are in a hospital bed or you're disabled and you physically cannot leave the house to get to the polling place. Everyone else, no absentee balloting and absolutely no universal mail-in balloting. That's absurd. So if you're so busy that you can't one day every 4 years go vote for the president, just don't vote. Okay? Don't vote. I think less people should vote in general. So don't vote. It doesn't bother me. Just don't go. Because if it's not that important to you, then don't go. Don't do it. So that's what I think. But again, if Donald Trump loses, then you don't get to sit there and just complain and say, well, they cheated. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't fix any problems. People can win. I think Nikki Haley could win. I think Ron DeSantis could win. As far as everybody else, I don't know. I think Tim Scott's a very nice man. I don't know if he wins. I think Vivek Ramaswamy, he's a great speaker. I don't know about him. He seems a little, I don't know. I don't know the word, but he doesn't always seem the most genuine person I've ever seen in my life. He seems like he swims with the polls, and that's fine. If you want to win, sometimes you got to do that, but he doesn't seem the most principled person on the stage. That's all I'm going to say. There are alternatives. Other people could win this election. Joe Biden should lose. He is a walking corpse. He looks like the Crypt Keeper, and his policies are leading America down the drain. There's no other way to look at it. I don't understand. Anyone who sits there and says, oh yeah, voting for Biden was a good choice. I don't understand you. Maybe I should try more to understand it. But what has he been good at? What has he done well? The border is out of control. The immigration crisis is as bad a humanitarian crisis as the war in Afghanistan was. People don't understand this. They don't see the dead people on the border because the media is not showing them that, because it makes the Biden look bad. Immigration's out of control. The economy is in shambles. Inflation is still almost double what it should be. I think we're still at 4%. The target goal has been 2%, and we've maintained 2% since a little bit of spike in 2008. And then I think before that, it was 1990 we had the last inflationary spike. So 33 years ago. And Joe Biden's responsible for that. The economy, inflation, war in the Middle East, war in Ukraine. Again, we can go on and on, but he is so bad. Anyone could beat him. Look at anyone. Just don't do this. Donald Trump is on trial in 82 different places. He's got 472 court cases pending against him. I think they are all nonsense, okay? I'm not defending putting Donald Trump on trial. They're all nonsense. Once again, just like I could with the wars that Joe Biden caused, I can point to you all the reasons why each one of those cases is nonsense. But there's a real possibility that Donald Trump goes to jail over one of them. One of them, they got him. I don't know. I think it's a bullshit charge that should never have been brought up, but they got him. And I think that there's a real possibility that Joe Biden is so corrupt that he was willing to throw the integrity of the courts and the integrity of the justice system away to jail Donald Trump. I do believe that that is the goal, and that might happen. Do we want to nominate somebody who is so off-putting to voters that they would rather see him go to jail than sit in the Oval Office? I don't think the heckler's veto is a thing. We shouldn't cave to people because of their threats, because of their demands, because they say they're going to shout you down. We shouldn't cave to those people. But let's be smart. Those people, they vote. They do. Do you think they don't like Ron DeSantis? They're not going to love Nikki Haley. They'll sit there and call Larry Elder and Tim Scott racist despite the fact they're both black. They'll do these things. But nobody in the world animates the left wing like Donald Trump. They will cheat and lie and manipulate anything in the world because they view him as an existential threat to democracy. You're seeing that already play up. They think that Donald Trump is Hitler. Meanwhile, by the way, the radical left on their side is siding with the modern day Nazis in Hamas, but that's a topic we already have covered. But they think Donald Trump is Hitler. And because Donald Trump's Hitler, what do you do if you're facing Hitler? You do anything to win because you're the good guy and Hitler's the bad guy. And if Hitler's the bad guy, then you can cheat and lie and manipulate and steal and do all these things. And they will do that with Donald Trump. I guarantee you. I think there were shenanigans in 2020. I don't think it was enough to turn the election on its head. But anyone who says, oh, show me the evidence, let's talk about it. I will happily get into that. But it's not enough. It's not enough it's not enough to whinge. We have to win, okay? And Donald Trump is not going to, he's not the one. He just is not the guy who's going to get it done. I think he served his purpose. Thank you, Mr. President. You did great. Go away. Just stop. You're making it all worse. Everything that he puts out should be how terrible Joe Biden is. The presidential candidate that the Republicans run should be every day hammering Joe Biden, showing pictures of the border, showing pictures of dead Israelis and the Ukraine war, and drawing the map as to how this is all Joe Biden's fault. That's what they should be doing. You know what Donald Trump talks about every day? He talks about his court cases. He's talking about, oh, they're so unfair to me. I'm Donald Trump, and everyone is so unfair, and Joe Biden's a dog, and everyone give me money that I am not spending on my campaign. I'm spending on my legal fees. That's where your donations to Donald Trump go. The GOP, they're just shooting themselves in the foot. And I get it. Voters like Donald Trump. Okay, I get it. Again, I'm not sitting up here bashing Donald Trump. I think he was a great president for 3 of the 4 years. I don't think his COVID stuff was great, but everyone was kind of bad. Except Ron DeSantis, who was great basically the whole time. I'm not bashing him. I just think that there are better options at this particular moment in time. And I wish that the GOP would pick one of them. And meanwhile, they can't even pick a speaker for 3 weeks. Oh, Matt Gaetz. What an idiot. What was wrong with Kevin McCarthy? I don't understand. What did you accomplish? Mike Johnson, he seems great. I don't know. We'll see. But what was wrong with Kevin McCarthy? What do you think you gained? Because Kevin McCarthy was actually a smooth operator and seemed to be doing a pretty good job wielding power in a minority coalition. He doesn't have the power. They have a slim majority in the House, but There's no Senate. There's no executive branch. What do you want him to do? Meanwhile, Matt Gaetz ousts him for no discernible purpose to accomplish nothing. But this is the GOP. Everyone wants to be a paragon. They want to show their virtue without playing the game effectively. That's what Matt Gaetz was doing. That's what the GOP is doing by nominating Trump. Oh, we want to show them what we stand for. Okay, that's great. How about we show them we stand for winning? Wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, that's all I got to say. Be smart, people. Okay? I get it. I get you like Donald Trump, but let him move on. Let him deal with his stuff. Win. Win, win, win. That's the goal. That's what we should do. Anyway, on to a different topic. Different topic is that today, November 3rd, is my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I am turning 33 today, and I want to read a little something that I feel like is important. It's my favorite book, the book that everyone should read if you haven't read it. I'm going to hold it up for the camera right here. So this is Meditation. I have a number of copies of this. This is actually not, I was looking for my other copy. I have another copy of this. I can't remember who did the translation of that one off the top of my head, but there's a copy. I always recommend it to people. You'll see it if you look on Amazon or Barnes and Noble, wherever you buy books. It's the black book with the bird and the red feather. I can't remember off the top of my head. You know what? Actually, while we're doing this, I'm gonna look it up here online because it's that important. I am going to do this real quick. And then I'm going to tell you the name of the book because that's the one I want people to get if you decide to get it. Here we go. It's the first one. It's the first one. Gregory Hayes. That's what it is. Here, I'll show it even. So this one. This is the copy I always say is the best because it's written. What you don't think about is that this book was written so long ago that every translation that you get, it's done in the language of the time. So when you read a book that was translated, like, for example, if you read this book and it was translated in the 1700s, they're going to speak like people in the 1700s would have spoken, or in the 1800s. So you can get translations of old books that are written in modern English, and it makes them so much easier to understand, and you don't lose a lot because it's a translation's a translation. Translating from Latin to English is always going to leave something to be desired. Anyway, doesn't matter. This is the book, Gregory Hayes, this translation right here. Oh, I thought it was a red feather and a bird, but the bird is red. Look at that. How mistaken I am. Red bird, white feather. Anyway, that's the best translation. I want to, just on my 33rd birthday, I'm going to just read a passage of this. You could pick basically any page at random and read one. This is from Book 8. This is the second meditation in Book 8. On the occasion of every act, ask yourself, how is this with respect to me? Shall I repent it? A little time and I am dead and all is gone. What more do I seek if what I am doing now is the work of an intelligent living being, a social being, and one who is under the same law with God? So the entire book is written like this. They're just little things to consider every day. So what is this? Again, you can open almost any page and find something of wisdom that you can find. On every occasion, ask yourself, how is this with respect to me? Shall I repent it? A little time and I am dead and all is gone. Is that morbid? It shouldn't be. The idea is to remember everything that you do in life, you should do with purpose. You should do with intent. And you shouldn't do anything that later you're going to know you'll repent of. Because in every moment, there is just that moment. We make a choice every moment of our lives, we make a choice as to how we want to spend that time. And it's fleeting because in a moment, you're dead and all is gone. And all you will be is a memory. And there are some people who think about that and get upset. And some people who think about that and find peace. You should think about that and find peace. You should be at peace with the idea that your every day going to die. You're going to die at some point, and you don't know. And so what do you do in this moment that makes your life worth living? Are you doing something that makes you better? Are you doing something that makes you worse? Are you working towards something, or are you staying stagnant? Because in reality, if you think, oh, well, today I'm feeling lazy, I'm going to just sit and do nothing, you're not doing nothing. You're getting worse. You're making, and it's not to say you can't have those days. You need leisure. You need time to yourself. That's in this book as well. You need time to yourself. You need time to relax and enjoy life and be happy. Happiness is important. But your day, when you wake in the morning, you should ask yourself what your purpose is, what you're doing. If you have a wife, if you have kids, if you have a job, whatever it is, you live with purpose, live with intent, and think about that in every action that you do, in every moment of your life. You should be living it with purpose. Anyway, we're going to leave it there today. Again, happy birthday to me, 33 years old. I'm trying, make it look good. We'll see how it goes. And I will catch you guys on the next episode.